everybody, and thank you for joining us in our very special 120th episode of ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. And I have a special surprise for you guys. It is a very special podcast. We reached 120, which is huge. It's very, very exciting for us. And I wanted to bring back a guest we had quite a while ago who's doing nothing but great things in the world. And he is a part of, he has let us be a part of something so amazing and life-changing that I'm very, very grateful to him and what he's been doing. Ladies and gentlemen, Del Reid. Del, how are you, sir?
What's going on, man? How you been?
I've been very good. Missing you. I haven't spoken to you in quite some time, so it's nice to catch up. If you guys don't remember Del from our previous podcast, he is the founder of 26shirts.com. And if you are a new listener or you've not heard about 26shirts.com through us or through any sort of social media, Del, why don't you tell people what 26 Shirts is and why you started it?
Yeah, you bet. So, 26shirts.com, what it is it's a website that we launched last November, and what we do is we sell a different Buffalo sports-themed T-shirt for 2 weeks at a time, and then after that 2 weeks, it's gone forever. So that's where 26 comes from. 52 weeks in a year, 52 divided by 2, 26. We have 26 shirts. But what makes this website unique is I don't keep any of the money from the shirts that are made. The shirts we sell, the profits that come from that shirt, they're donated to a needy family or a foundation, in need. So it's kind of fun. So when you don't have like a personal stake in it financially, you're okay maybe with taking some risks or doing some different things because, I don't know, if it happens, it happens. So it's a lot of fun, and it's just been a real fun ride since last November. We've worked with a lot of different Buffalo Bills players on these shirts, both current players like Denoris Searcy and Brandon Spikes, and players from the past like the Jim Kelly, Daryl Talley right now is the current shirt. We've worked with Pete Metzelaars and other past players, Andre Reid as well. So it's a lot of fun, and the whole idea is that you can buy a Buffalo sports themed T-shirt and have a unique shirt that nobody else has. Well, nobody else, but compared to like the mammoth NFL shirt,
Yeah.
I mean, the millions of shirts out there, you can have a unique shirt that very few other people have, and you can sleep well at night knowing that your money, went to a good cause.
Absolutely. And like Del was saying, it's a little bit different than your normal kind of situation because they concentrate on one specific family or person with 26 shirts. To talk about something that was very, very, again, from those who don't know, I am from Buffalo, and a very, very big thing happened this past year when a little boy kind of touched the hearts of everyone in that city, and even around the world, even around the whole country, people were talking about him. If you've ever heard of Blue for Ben, Ben was a young boy. He was actually an identical twin who had a brain tumor. I think it was a little bit more in depth, but I think that was essentially what it was. And they also made a shirt for Ben, and the whole kind of city and area band together. I mean, I haven't been in Buffalo in a year or so I wasn't there. But Del, tell everyone how it was and how the feeling was when everyone was working for Ben, and then you guys eventually made a shirt for Ben as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. Really, this whole Blue for Ben movement that took over Western New York for several months back in the spring was surreal. I'm 38 years old. I'm old. I got a lot of gray hair. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Just the way that this whole community rallied around this little boy. So. It was such a big thing in the media. And then, of course, based on what 26 Shirts is, we had a lot of people emailing us and tweeting us and, posting on our Facebook page. You got to do a shirt for Ben Sauer. You have to do a shirt for Ben Sauer. So, we looked at it and we were like, absolutely. In fact, for the sake of full transparency, my wife and I actually know Ben's parents through a mutual friend. So it wasn't that far off to begin with. But it just worked out, and a good example of what a huge grasp this Blue for Ben thing had on the community is we sold 1,616 shirts to support this family who, unfortunately, Ben did not,
did not
beat cancer, but we were able to really help out that family in a huge way. And I mean, they had so much money come in. My understanding is they're probably creating some kind of foundation or something out of this to help other families that struggle with this. Because unfortunately, as you know, you may or may not realize that there's a lot of people out there that need help. So it's kind of cool that I think they're going to be doing that. But yeah, so we raised between the shirt sales and matching donations and everything over $12,000 through the 26 Shirts channel.
And I just want to say how amazing that is, guy. I mean, over $12,000 in the matter of 2 to 3 week span, because I know we even kind of went, it was 2 weeks, but then you had the matching donation. But over 2 weeks, we raised $12,000 for this family. And like they'll mention, unfortunately, Ben was not able to beat his cancer. But the fact that his legacy will now go into a foundation, and everyone, just to see a whole city and a whole community kind of rally around this boy was just something so amazing to see. And I mean, before we had this podcast, me and Del were talking, and you know, he must be one of the most humble people I've ever met. And he even said that, you know, he doesn't like when people always say, you know, you're doing such amazing things and put the spotlight on him. But I mean, to say that you started something that raised over $12,000 for a family that lost a child, who is now going to start a foundation to help more people. The numbers of how many people he's helping. Del, sir, you are a hero and you're an amazing man. I know you don't like the spotlight, but it's impossible for me not to tell you how awesome that is. And I'm just so proud to call you my friend. And it gets me emotional. I was telling someone earlier what Blue for Ben was, and as an example for what you do. And it gets me emotional because, you know, like you said, most of these people you don't even get a chance to meet. You don't ever get to, you know, humanly meet them face to face. But you've helped all these strangers. So I admire you, and I admire what you do.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
But Ben is just one of now 22 people that you've or families that you've helped. Right now we are on shirt 22, which is a Daryl Talley shirt. And it just released this past week. It'll be a week old when you hear this podcast. We're recording a little bit early, so this will come out on Sunday. So you'll have 7 days when you're listening to this to buy shirt 22. And when you do buy a shirt from 26 Shirts, your name gets automatically entered into a raffle to win one free from Chasing Cinema from us. And Del, why don't you tell everyone about Haven Parker, the 3-year-old little girl that this shirt is benefiting?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for even stepping up to the early on in this and saying that you guys wanted to sponsor that giveaway. I think it's great. I think it gives people maybe that extra little push to, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I'll buy a shirt. You know, maybe I got, you know, a 1 in whatever chance of getting another one. So I thank you so much for that.
Anytime, sir.
Yeah, this little girl, Haven Parker, her mom reached out to me March, February. That's how far backlogged we are right now. But her mom Jess reached out and just told me about this story about this little girl, and you know, it's absolutely awful. She has this thing that I've never heard of. Unfortunately, I've starting to learn a lot about all kinds of things that I didn't know people could even deal with. But this little girl has this issue called idiopathic gastroparesis, and what that is her stomach, her intestines are not able to handle the food that goes into her tummy. So she has little tubes in, you know, like a feeding tube, basically, like you would know of with you know, hospital patients or whatever. So she has little tubes in her stomach where that's how she's fed through that. So this little girl, her whole life is not going to be able to eat. You know, so my understanding is that she will walk around the room with food in her mouth and just like suck on it for the flavor, but like, what you know, it's crazy. So obviously, as you can imagine, this kind of condition has a lot of things that come out of it. You know, like one of the things is that she has rickets, which happens when you don't get enough calcium, which is kind of like a natural issue with this kind of stuff. So one of the other things that flows out of the issue is that, you know, there's a huge medical cost that comes to this from her parents. Like there's a little bit more, like a lot of parents struggle with raising their kids just to, you know, putting clothes on layaway for school clothes on layaway. They put on in June, and they pay on them for a couple of months, or maybe they charge them or whatever. But like, I mean, it's expensive to raise a kid who's healthy. So when you imagine that this little girl has this condition,
and she's had over, what I've read was 14 surgeries and been in the hospital, has been hospitalized for up to 46 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not over with. Like, she has more things that she's dealing with in the future. So it's just a huge financial burden to her parents to deal with this, and obviously she requires a lot of care. She requires like on-hand care, so they can't just go out and put her in daycare or whatever. So, anyways, the whole point is that it's not easy to raise a little girl with this kind of condition, and so we are excited at the opportunity to help her family a little bit with this shirt. And 26shirts.com, the website that Dell created, gives you the ability to help young Haven Parker by getting a once-in-a-lifetime shirt. It is only available for those 2 weeks, and you get an original shirt that you could wear. If you're a Buffalo fan or if you're not a Buffalo fan, it is all for the cause, and that is why this is such an amazing thing to kind of just see and see from such an early frame of time, just to see how much 26 Shirts has grown. But you guys have the ability to buy a shirt. So go to 26shirts.com. You could read more about it. You could read more about Haven, and you could read more about past shirts that they did. But we're on shirt 22, which means there's only 8 more weeks until we reach shirt 26. And we want to have you back on for 26 shirts, so you could tell us if you have anything planned after shirt 26. But before then, I know you guys are redoing the website, or something is going on with the website. Yeah, we're in the process of launching a new website. Before I get into that, though, I just want to mention with Shirt 22, it's based on Daryl Talley, who, like I mentioned before, I'm old, so I have very vivid memories of the Super Bowl era. So it was really cool to be able to work with Daryl Talley and his wife Janine on this design, and Michael Biondo, the artist, did an amazing job. It's actually taken from a painting that he did, and he was able to Photoshop it, whatever. I just like the T-shirts. I'm not a designer, but he did a great job with that. So it was really cool to be able to work with Daryl Talley, and now he's out there retweeting us. So what a trip that is! That's awesome. But so thanks to Daryl Talley for being generous in that respect. But yeah, so we have a new website coming out. It was scheduled to come out this past Monday at midnight, but because of SSL certificate technical mumbo jumbo, I won't bore your listeners with. We had to put it off. So we're hoping to have it up by the end of this week. And it'll be nice because it will no longer make you jump from the 26shirts.com website to the youandwho.com website. You and Who is the shirt company that makes all of this possible. So we're actually taking the You and Who engine and placing it in the 26 Shirts website, which with it brings a new look and feel. And so it's exciting. It'll allow us to do other more marketing type things, like where we can track conversions.
Which is very awesome, and we're going to have that going. But yeah, like you said, you've been able to work with a lot of people hands-on, a lot of Buffalo Bills, former and now working with these designs. So that is another thing that is also really helpful. They're very hands-on, and that just makes them awesome, like you said, with Daryl Talley. So just to give you guys a number to see what 26 Shirt has been able to do. It has raised over $42,000 for families and people in need, and that's amazing, and that's so beautiful to see that people are buying these shirts and helping out these great causes. I mean, it literally, like I said, gets me emotional just talking about it, and it is so awesome. So let's keep that number growing. We have, like I said, 8 more weeks to go. Let's try to make as much money possible and really help these families and individuals in need. If you want to know more about 26 Shirts, like I said, you could always log on to the website, www.26shirts.com. You could also find them at Twitter at 26 Shirts, and of course, Facebook.com/26shirts. It is amazing to see $42,000 to helping people, and and it's such a huge. It's people from all sorts. Like you said, you have an artist, you have the t-shirt website, you have you guys. I mean, there's so many people involved in this just to help people. It's awesome and amazing to see. Now, my question is, can you give us any little teaser of what might be coming after the 26 shirt?
Yeah, a lot of people have said, like, well, what are you going to do next after 26 Shirts? Because I've done some other fundraising type things in the past with, Bill's Mafia and all the shirts we sell through that and everything. And I said, I'm not leaving 26 Shirts. We're going to keep doing that. As long as people keep buying T-shirts and we can keep helping people because the list is so long of people who need help, we're going to keep selling shirts. But we are going to have a different angle for Volume 2. If I know I've said Buffalo Sports, really all the shirts have been Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna expand it out, and we're excited to be working with some other players in the Buffalo professional sports scene that aren't necessarily football players. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
That is very exciting to see that we're going to be doing more and helping more people. That is awesome. Del, again, you are awesome. But we will have Del on when we reach shirt 26, and hopefully by then we have gotten an enormous amount more money. We want to help more people, and this is the way to do it. Guys, again, www.26shirts.com. Del, like I said many times to you before, you were just an awesome guy. I hope to one day actually meet you in person, because me and Del haven't even met in person. But you are an awesome guy. 26shirts.com, guys. We have 8 more weeks to raise money for individuals and families in need. So let's help as much as we can. Buy a shirt, help a great cause, and then you get to enter to win one free from us. So, Del, thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us. And we're going to have you back on in about 8 weeks. How does that sound?
Sounds fantastic. I'm already looking forward to it.
All right, Del, you be good. I'll probably be texting you on Sunday when we have our opening game. So I will talk to you then, good sir. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on, as always.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work on your website.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. What you just heard actually was something I recorded earlier this week with the founder of 26shirts.com, Reid. I hope you enjoyed that interview, and I hope you are taking me seriously when I say you guys really should go to that website, help a great cause, and be a part of that. Again, Del, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. But now we're going to get back to our regular schedule, as I am one of your co-hosts, Jacob Toronto. And I am joined by my loyal, faithful co-host,
Louis Corvazol.
And today we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of Ghostbusters. So what we're going to do today, even though as already our podcast format is a little bit mixed up already, me and Louis are just going to talk some movie news really quick, and then we're going to share our thoughts on seeing Ghostbusters in the big screen at the big screen this week. So it's going to be a little bit shorter of an episode today, but it's still always fun. So, Louis, what you got for movie news? What's going on? Well, first, how you doing? What's going on with you? It hasn't seemed like very long since I've seen you, so.
Yeah, it's been a quick week. We've been in contact. Finally, you want to be my friend again, so we're talking more. And we're doing this podcast a little bit earlier in the week, so it hasn't been that long. Some movie news is very, very brief this week, but there are some big points I would like to get across. Let's dive in, shall we, Jake?
Let's do it.
Okay. A couple weeks ago, we did mention that Dwayne Johnson has been circling a comic book film. The question was, is he going to be playing Shazam or Black Adam?
Mm-hmm.
Well, today, Wednesday, September 3rd, he announced that he will be playing Black Adam in the up-and-coming Shazam film.
Oh, okay. So it is decided.
It is decided. It's confirmed. He is playing Black Adam, and right now Shazam looks like it's going to be released in 2016, which is going to be right after the release of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. But as right now, they said that his Black Adam, this type of universe, even though it's DC Comics it still is not in the shared universe of Batman and Superman. So unless they're misleading us, as of right now, we would not be seeing Dwayne Johnson and Clark Kent, Henry Cavill, and Ben Affleck all in the same film. As of yet.
As of yet.
They always lie. But there you go. Excited?
I was thinking maybe The Rock should just do both. I think that'd be really cool if he played both characters.
A la like Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, like if he played Captain Marvel and played Black Adam, I thought that'd be really awesome. I was thinking about that because they're kind of similar. So you just have The Rock do both and then have The Rock fight The Rock,
That'd be pretty cool. I would pay big bucks to see that because we are big fans of the great one, Dwayne Johnson. And I'm actually excited for this because I think he does have the charisma, the charm, and definitely the muscles to be in a superhero film. So this is his like first crack at it. So it should be interesting. Hopefully, it turns out for the better.
Yeah, I think it'll be very fun to watch. I think he'll be really, really great in this kind of role. I think he'll actually find a very good spot there. It just depends on how good the movie is, because like I said last week, I'm not really crazy about the story in general, but maybe The Rock can make it a little bit more fun of a ride.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. Moving right along, a couple months ago, we did talk about Ridley Scott and his many, many different projects he has lined up. We had the Blade Runner sequel, a Prometheus sequel. He's just finishing post-production on Exodus, Gods and Kings. And he also had this film based on a book by Andy Weir called The Martian, which I don't know if you remember talking about this, but it's right now starring Matt Damon, and he's an astronaut stranded on Mars trying to find his way back home. So it's kind of like Gravity, Castaway, but in space again, and all that. Well, we have two other female leads joining that cast right now, and it's reportedly Jessica Chastain and Kristen Wiig is joining Matt Damon for The Martian. And I find that very, very, very intriguing.
I think that could be really, really exciting.
You know, Matt Damon and Ridley Scott alone, cool,
good
great,
sign.
let's go for it. But now you have Jessica Chastain, very, very talented actor, and then Kristen Wiig. This is probably going to be one of her first major, serious, big pictures she's done. You know, we know her for SNL and Bridesmaids, but this would be an interesting career choice for her, and hopefully, you know, it's still a funny part, but I'm very, very excited to see that prospect.
You can't go wrong, you know.
Exactly. Now, this is interesting news, and I don't know if you guys been up with the whole iPhone, iCloud phone hacking with so many celebrities and actresses getting on.
I knew about it. I know about it. I've been hearing a lot about it. It's kind of taken over Tumblr, especially, but it's kind of been a crazy, crazy little phenomenon. Well,
this is not going to be based on that, but I thought this is very relevant and kind of an interesting film project. We have the next directorial job for George Clooney. He has signed on to direct the phone hacking scandal movie for Sony, and this phone hacking is based on an adaptation of Nick Davies' book Hack Attack, which details the recent British phone hacking scandal that had Rupert Murdoch, News Corporation, Empire all up in that scandal. So he's signed on to produce and direct that. And it was a big time. I don't know if you remember this happened around 2011, but I thought that was a very interesting choice for him, especially with the recent news about this new phone hacking scandal that we are dealing with today. Yep. So there you go. If fans of Clooney, get ready. He's getting ready to direct that film.
Well, Clooney usually never disappoints, you know, especially when he's in front of the camera. So I think that's a very interesting topic to kind of talk about, and I'm not sure how well, you know, it'll resonate to most people. That when you kind of think about it, it doesn't sound like the most intriguing plot, but you know, George Clooney can definitely make it exciting. Hopefully, yeah.
Because last time he dealt with journalism was Good Night and Good Luck, and look how that turned out.
Yes.
It turned out fabulous. So he's right in that ballpark again. And that's actually it for this movie news update.
All right. Week. Well, that's the new movie news update. We're talking about some The Rock, talking about George Clooney. So, Louis, before we hop into our movie, because we have a little bit more time, it went by a little quicker than I planned. Did you see anything interesting this week?
Actually, I did. I was trying to study for my anatomy test last night, and
best way to study is to watch a movie.
Exactly. It was on TV, and I like to study in front of TV. I can't be in a quiet space. I don't concentrate as well. So I'm in the living room studying, and Mom put on this channel, and a movie was starting, and it was Thelma and Louise.
Okay.
And I haven't seen Thelma and Louise in a real, real long time, and Mom has never seen that film.
Wow, really?
No, I was very surprised as well. So I'm like, you know what? I went back and forth by the end. I couldn't stop watching it. So I did watch Thelma and Louise again. And it's such an interesting movie, and it still holds up today. It's just, I wish we could have a different adaptation of that. today because it's definitely the female version of Sundance, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and all that. But at the same time, Gina Davis's character annoyed me so much throughout the film. And I didn't like the dynamic. I did the first time, but the second time, you know how many times Susan Sarandon told Gina Davis to shut up, let me think, leave me alone, and Gina Davis just acted like a trophy wife, dumb blonde, and that kind of aggravated me. But all in all, it's still a classic. The ending scene is definitely iconic, definitely 90s film, and then having a young Brad Pitt, and it was dynamite. Seeing Harvey Keitel again was always good, and even Christopher McDonald, he was amazing in that film. Amazing, being the bastard of a husband he was. But it was a fun movie. It was good to relive it. Mom was caught up in it.
Did she cry at the end?
She did. No, because I'm like, Mom, you never saw it. She's like, no, I never saw it. I'll get ready for the ending. It's like, what happens? Oh no, what happened? I'm like, and then she asked me, am I going to cry? I'm like, I don't know. Are you? She did not cry. I think she was a little disappointed with the ending.
Really?
Because I think she didn't want to see them die like that. I think she was just disappointed in the whole, are they really going to drive off a cliff like that?
That's the best way to go.
I know, but then that reminded me of another film that we really, really loved, Set It Off.
Yes.
And comparing the two, I think Set It Off had a better female character dynamic, and I like the ending of Set It Off a little bit better than
I think Set It Off is really an underrated gem. I watched a movie when I was very young, so spoiler alert if you've not seen it. One of the characters' deaths is wow, really impactful, especially when I saw it at such a young age. But as I went back and rewatched it as an adult, that movie spoke to me more and more, and I feel, it's great performances from everyone in that movie, from Clint Eastwood to Jada Pinkett Smith to Vivica Fox. I think it is a really, really good movie, and though I have not seen Thelma and Louise recently enough to judge the two, I would think personally I would veer more towards Set It Off as well, because there's more of them, and there's something really beautiful about their sisterhood between the four of them. And I also think Queen Latifah is amazing in that movie. She cracks me up, and she can make me cry in the exact same role, which is really, really powerful. But that is a really great movie. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I have not watched that in a good amount of time. Maybe it's worth revisiting, but maybe I have to watch the two in one day and see which. Yeah,
because I would like to see a comparison between the two films, because as great of chemistry Sarandon and Davis had, at times it just felt like their friendship was not as sincere
as the sisterhood as we saw in Set It Off. Yeah,
and go on. And sorry, another slight problem I had was, even though Keitel was good in his role, I think they underused him. They should have put more of his character in the film, especially towards the end when he's trying to prevent their deaths. And, he didn't even communicate again with them. I thought that was a big letdown. Whereas in Set It Off, I thought John C. McKinley's character, Detective Strode, was very, very relevant, very in the middle of everything, and had more of an impact on the story and made the story much more complex than Keitel's character in Thelma and Louise. So I give that point to Set It Off as well.
Mm-hmm.
But both, really good films, and both, you don't need men all the time.
Yeah.
And, it's sad we don't get enough of those films, but I think they should remake Thelma and Louise type of deal,
Those stories.
For this generation. We could have a Jennifer Lawrence, Emma Stone team. That would be interesting. Charlize Theron, Natalie Portman.
Who's J-Law's good friend with? Emma Watson.
It'd be interesting to see that dynamic. Take those actresses and that big fan base they have already and put it into a grown-up film kind of with Thelma and Louise. I think that'd be interesting.
Well, I think Thelma and Louise, I think the reason why I think both me and you prefer Set It Off is because it also attacks a lot more genres, I would say, than Thelma and Louise, because we also have the we have this sisterhood movie of sorry, I'm losing my words now. The sisterhood movie that is about these friendships, and it's a crime film. And then we also have a very huge Hughes Brothers, Hughes brother. What's the one I'm looking for? Not reference, but influence in these films.
Yeah.
The man who created Menace to Society and things like that. We have also the gangster and urban type themes as well. Especially, and even race. Race is a humongous part of Set It Off, as the whole movie is kind of set upon this girl's brother being killed because he was pulling a champagne bottle out of his jacket, and it becomes a racial conflict. Not saying that's if it's true or not, but either way, that's what it ends up. What ends up the outcome. So I think Set It Off to me tackles more of a lot more themes and a lot more of a genre and diversity rather than Thelma and Louise. Though Thelma and Louise has one of the greatest send-offs, if you will, for its characters.
Definitely, I can't say it better myself.
Well, that was a good little discussion, but moving on to the total opposite direction of depressingly sad but beautiful female movies, let's talk about one of the most classic.
The complete opposite.
Yeah, let's talk about one of the most classic guy films, people's films in general. 1984, Ivan Reitman got a hold of a script written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, and I do not think that he knew that this would be one of the biggest and most famous movies in pop culture. If you want to talk about a movie that is referenced all the time, a movie that's theme song still plays on the radio, if you want to talk about a movie that its characters' costumes are still knocking at your door 30 years later, there is no movie like Ghostbusters. 30 years anniversary, Ghostbusters was re-released in the theaters all over the U.S., and me and Louis got a chance to see it on the big screen, and we'll talk about that experience more. But Louis, let's first talk about our first time viewing it and our overall thought of the movie before we talk about the new experience.
For the first time viewing Ghostbuster?
And just in general, how do you feel about Ghostbusters?
Well, of course, you have to be... I don't know. You have to be someone not from this planet not to enjoy Ghostbusters. And I remember I caught this kind of late, not too early, but I think maybe around 13, 14, 15 is when the first time I watched Ghostbusters. And it was right at the peak when, you're leaving behind the kiddie comedies, the Adam Sandler type comedies, and moving into more of an adult type comedy, a more risque comedy. And I thought these guys, the mind of Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, was able to play both so well. You get the juvenile kid type comedy, but it gets kind of a grown up appropriate comedy as well in there too. And I fell in love with the whole cast. It's just like watching Friends, meeting friends for the first time. And every time you revisit, it's like, oh, let's see this buddy I haven't seen in 5 years or so. And it's just a great comedy. And again, for this time, this is 1984,
30 years ago.
30, I can't believe that's scary to think. And to think that, CGI wasn't readily available and all that, for them to create this vision back in 84 is very, very impressive. And I think it's overlooked a lot, when we talk about special effects and all this. This movie in 84, maybe not the greatest effects now because of all the advancements we made in technology, but still, the mind that went into this to create this universe is amazing, and it works so well. It's funny, there's heart in it, the characters are great, the chemistry is great. It's one of the greatest comedies, definitely, that came out in the 80s, if not all time.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that it is one of the greatest comedies of all time. To me, it always boiled down to the dialogue. More than the theme songs, more than the outfits, the one thing I think that this movie gave to the world of film and to the world in general is some of the greatest quotes of all time. One of my favorites isn't actually, I was looking up lists of everyone's favorite Ghostbusters quote, and mine wasn't on the list, but my favorite part in Ghostbusters is when he goes, Harold Ramis explains his this reading that the machine has with a Twinkie. And Bill Murray comes down and he goes, so tell him about the Twinkie. Bill Murray looks at him all seriously, goes, what about the Twinkie? One of my favorite quotes of all time, but I mean, there's so many quotes that this movie gave. It's the witty dialogue that's in there and their banter as they exchange these three and then later four members of the Ghostbusters. that it just really, really works. It like you said, I think it's like visiting old friends, and you watch them and you're just like, oh, their friendship is so genuine and so true. It feels like you're a part of that. And that's very special. And this was a group. I mean, you want to talk about prime. I mean, Harold Ramis, not so much, wasn't super popular yet. He made some films, but he wasn't a star like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, where they rise up in SNL and stuff like that. So their comedy, and mixing with Harold Ramis, who was genius in this film alone, unfortunately the late Harold Ramis, it's just a great dynamic that they have that I really, really loved. You have Ray Parker Jr., who made the theme song, like I said earlier, one of the greatest, if not the most popular movie theme song of all time. He did lose in the 1984 Academy Awards, though, to I Just Called to Say I Love You, Stevie Wonder. So research that for my review.
You can't complain on that.
But chances are, kids under 5 probably know the Ghostbusters theme more than they do the Stevie Wonder song. So it's really amazing to see how, to me, it's like so amazing how far this film has come. Effects, a big thing you said. There was a time, and even kind of now, there's really no such, well, now comedies have bigger budgets. But in 1984, Ghostbusters was one of the first big blockbuster comedies that worked. Comedies weren't so big blockbuster as, how like a summer movie like Ghostbusters was. I mean, that movie just was a blockbuster with crazy effects and a comedy. And Roger Ebert talks about this in that kind of stage where the effects are, capturing ghosts and all these creatures. You would think that these comedians can't compare with these effects, and most people wouldn't be able to balance to, but they're absolutely wrong, because they have a perfect blend. And regardless of the effects, might seem outdated to someone more youthful. For 1984, they're amazing, and and some of it still holds up. Like we watched it in the theater, and I didn't see so many problems with it. It didn't bother me. It didn't feel super dated. I mean, sure, some moments, but that's just going to happen. But Ghostbusters, to me, it's all about the script and the dialogue. Granted, I bet some of that, if not most of those conversations, were somewhat improvised or on the spot, because they are comedians and that's what comedians do best. It is their dialogue and their wit that makes this movie so special.
Agree. It's a very, very fast-paced, witty film. It keeps you on your toes, and that's so great about this movie, is because a lot of comedies, kind of talks down to the audience and kind of treats the audience as being stupid, where they have to explain, here's the setup, and then here's the punchline. Let's go back again. Let's explain the punchline, and let's be honest, we're not that stupid. And Ghostbusters never treats its audience in that manner. It keeps rolling with the punches, keeps going and going. And again, you got to look at the cast with Murray, Aykroyd. Sigourney Weaver did a great muse for them. Harold Ramis. And again, watching again, first time I guess I was, Bill Murray and Aykroyd, the stars of the film. But watching again, Rick Moranis is a genius.
Rick Moranis is an amazing in this movie.
He is so good, so funny. Just watching him on the big screen again in this role made me love the man even more. It's hilarious, and you might, and it's a film that you could keep watching. You pick up new things every time you watch it.
I agree with you 100%. Now, we got to watch this movie on the big screen for the first time, and me and Louis, unfortunately, were not around when Ghostbusters hit theaters way back when 30 years ago. But watching it in the big screen, watching it in a theater filled of people dressed up in Ghostbusters costumes and wearing those shirts, that really shows you how timeless this movie is. For a movie to be so prevalent in our present and being that old, granted, people still talk about Casablanca, people still talk about Gone with the Wind, people still talk about The Godfather and other great American films, let alone films all over the world, but there is something about Ghostbusters that is imprinted in our pop culture. That logo, if you show someone a ghost with a cross in it, everybody, I would argue 10 out of 10 times, knows what that logo is. When that song comes on, everybody knows what song that is. That is an amazing accomplishment and so underrated. The fact that this movie can still bring such laughter and joy, and we were in that theater and literally the whole room just felt moving and joyful. For a movie to do that 30 years after its release, I think is unbelievable, and I think really proves how timeless this movie is.
It was definitely an experience that every film lover should go out and check, because like you said, you're never going to experience a film like this again. You know, the following, the love, the appreciation that many have for this movie, and you get all of them in the same room, dim the lights and the big screen, surround sound. You put this movie on, it's definitely a worthwhile experience.
It was such an amazing experience, and if you still have a chance, wherever in your area, if they're playing it, please go out and see it, because if you've never seen it on a big screen, do it. If you do miss it or it's not in your area, just rewatch it, because it is spectacular. It is such a fun, moving movie, and to watch with an audience though was really, really incredible. You know, if you want a classic comedy that has a great cast, unforgettable fun, you know, awesome effects and great songs, question is, who you gonna call? You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So that's going to wrap it up for this week, as me and Louis talk about Ghostbusters. Next week, me and Louis are going to talk about No Good Deed, starring Idris Elba.
Are you excited for that?
You know, I saw, like, you know me, I haven't seen a trailer for it, so I really don't know what it's about, but I saw a clip where he, like, breaks into this house. I'm like, ooh! So, and I'm a big fan of Alba, so I actually am kind of excited to see it. So we'll see how that goes in the next couple of days. But, guys, check out my review of Ghostbusters at chasingcinema.com/Ghostbusters1984. I put the date in there just in case they decide to remake it or anything.
You never know.
Go see this movie. If you've never heard of Thelma and Louise or Set It Off, go check those two out and compare and tell us what you think is better. Also, guys, this is a bit early in the week, but hopefully by the time you hear this podcast, we would have a new logo. So please take the time out to go to our Facebook, facebook.com/chasingcinema, our Twitter at Chasing Cinema, or chasingcinema.com to see our brand new logo. If you are excited to see it, go check out the reveal on youtube.com/chasingcinema. In our latest video review of Ghostbusters, we revealed our logo. So guys, thank you so much for letting us be on 120 weeks in a row. You guys are all awesome. Louis, thank you. You're the man as always.
Likewise, brother.
Next week we will be talking, ladies and gentlemen, I am your co-host Jacob Toronto.
Louis Corazolo.
And please continue chasing cinema.